Let's talk about people who might have mental disorders, psychopaths. Do they have different wiring that creates a different perception of reality for them?
Yes. Psychopaths specifically might not have certain parts of the brain at all. Like, I'll give you an example. So, and this is a grossly oversimplified version of reality, of what you actually know about this. But I'm going to break it down with minimal loss of accuracy, okay? So I think it's fair to say, although there's much debate about the details of this, that your amygdala, which is part of the limbic system, mediates your fear response, yes? Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I pull a knife, and by the way, don't worry, I'm not going to. I don't even have a knife. Let's say I pull a knife. Most people who are not psychopaths would have an immediate fear response, yes? And we can map this to your amygdala activity. And again, there's more to this. Maybe it's novelty detection. Maybe it's sentinel system. Who knows? There's all kinds of, but it's involved in mediating fear responses. There's no question that psychopaths have a smaller, physically smaller amygdala. Like, it's anatomically smaller. And the pieces that are there are less active in scans, as an example. There's many other differences. And then as a consequence, they basically don't feel fear. And as far as we can tell, they don't even recognize fear. So for instance, there's this classic test of the 8 emotions, of the 8 basic emotions, like, I don't know, fear, disgust, happiness, anger, surprise, stuff like that. Yes, there's eight emotions that are, if you go to a jungle or rainforest, I guess, in Papua New Guinea, to an undiscovered tribe, and they have never talked to anybody, and you show them these faces of a fearful person and an angry person, they can recognize that. So it's cross-cultural, it's universal, emotional universal. There's 8 universal emotions. And psychopaths can get all 7 right, except for fear. They don't understand. They don't recognize it. So if you interview them, they would say, that's the face of, they asked this one guy, that's the face someone makes just before I stab them. But I don't recognize what it is. You know? So yeah. Which is why I say psychopaths. It challenges our concept of universals because their brain is wired so differently.
Not all of us have access to a psychopath's brain and see which areas are missing or smaller, but are there external preferences that can tell us something about a psychopath? Let's say their music preferences or the type of movies they like.
All right, so great. I have to be very careful here because, as you know, I studied this, and then I made the mistake to talk to some journalists, and then the fake news said...
BuzzFeed ran with it.
Not just BuzzFeed, Washington Post. The fake news, yes, grossly misrepresented what I told them. They grossly misrepresented what the study actually was. They said that No Diggity is like...
Lose Yourself by Eminem.
Eminem, I don't know. And then Justin Bieber, I think.
Yeah.
That's all nonsense. Yeah. This is not true.
Let's set the record straight.
Thank you.
It's Taylor Swift. No.
No. Although that would not surprise me. No, I'm joking. So, no, in all seriousness, it doesn't work like that. However, let me ask you something. We know that psychopaths have a grossly altered emotional response profile. We just talk about fear, but it's not just fear. In general, they're much more pleasure, reward sensitive. So they respond to punishments less well and to rewards more, which is often they like to gamble. For instance, they like to take risks. They like to, because they have a different risk reward payoff in their brain. They don't see the risk. They're risk blind and punishment blind.
They don't feel the pain?
They feel the pain. They're like, ow. But they don't learn from it. And they don't anticipate it. Let me tell you something. If I say, hey, Shalaj, in 10 seconds, I'm going to shock you with an electric shock. And that's the countdown, 10, 9, 8. At what number do you think you would get nervous? And this is a credible threat because I've done this before to you. At what number would you start to kind of like get a little concerned?
Beyond 5, maybe.
Okay. And you're right. And I can show this if I hook up your hands to like a sensor that measures how sweaty you get. Yeah, that ramps up well before the shock. That's called the anticipatory fear response. You have it if you're not a psychopath. I have it also. You can anticipate the pain and then maybe don't do the bad thing if you anticipate it, yes? Psychopath doesn't have that. They once you actually shock them, they will have that physiological response, but not until you actually shock them. They do not have the anticipated physiological response. Although I should be saying this, I'm talking about hardcore psychopaths. There's obviously a spectrum in the general population, so maybe a diminished anticipatory response, yes? How did we get on this topic?
Music preferences.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we know for a fact that their emotional response profile is grossly altered. No emotional fear response, no startle response. Like if I go, I'm not boo or like, whatever, you might startle, right? But they don't. And all of that. That's number one. There's a grossly altered emotional life. Yes, fear. They do get angry. They get so angry. Very angry. Right? Vindictive. But no shame, no guilt. Must be nice, yes? Anyway, we know about 10, maybe more consensus ways in their emotional response profile as all. That's fact number one. That's a fact. I'll send you a paper, okay? You can add it to the show notes. Fact two, we did a lot of research on this. Music evokes quite an interesting emotional response. Yes? As a matter of fact, you could argue that this is how I got into music to begin with. Frankly, I don't care about music at all. As you know, I am trained as a visual neurophysiologist. I spent well over a decade studying visual neurophysiology. Yes? So what am I doing studying music? And the answer is the data drew me in. So what I mean by that is there's nothing else like that where you can play, I guess, a 5 second or less. 5 seconds as low as when we published this. I'll send it to you. 5 seconds is as low as we went in our.
This is your paper title. The whole is not different from its parts.
That's right.
Yeah.
5 seconds is as low as we went because we thought there's no way. But there's 5 of us already way more than you need. Might be 1 or 2 seconds of a randomly picked clip in a musical, and you immediately get the full emotional response.
Really?
Yes, and it's highly idiosyncratic to you. So in other words, there's no such thing as a happy or a sad song. What is a happy song or a sad song depends on you. The same song that makes me happy make you angry or disgusted or anxious. We studied this quite extensively. It's highly idiosyncratic. So now we have 3 facts. One is psychopaths have an altered emotional response profile. We can evoke emotions very strongly and very reliably with music. 3, these emotions are evoked are highly idiosyncratic. Now, is it that much of a stretch to go to the 4th step and say, well, then maybe psychopaths have a different emotional response profile in response to music? Is that far of a stretch? No, it's not. Now, briefly, and it's too bad I don't have it here. You didn't tell me this ahead of time. I could play it to you. I have the Devil's Playlist. Basically, we found music that is most diagnostic of psychopaths.
Oh.
And then we also have the Angels Playlist, which is least. And to grossly oversimplify. Grossly. Again, this is not even published yet. Just want to make sure this actually replicates and all that before. This is very inflammatory, yes. Psychopaths prefer rhythm and bass. And I'll tell you in a moment why I think that is. And whatever the opposite of psychopath is. Kind, nice, good people are really into melody and harmony and vocals. That's a gross oversimplification, number one. Number 2, psychopaths always have to take it to the next level. So if a normal person likes rock music, they like death metal. If a normal music likes EDM, they like dubstep. You know what I'm saying? It's like this extreme level, you know what I mean? Now, 1 second, 2 things. First of all, I think that is because it helps them in general. This is a cliche, but it's somewhat true. If you read the textbook, they have like a flattened affect. So often if you ask a psychopath, hey, why did you do this? Why did you steal the thing? You didn't have to steal. You have enough money. Or why did you hurt this person? They didn't do anything to you. They often say, I just wanted to feel something. My normal emotional tone is like flat. I don't feel anything. I did it just to feel something, yes? So in other words, I think they need more of an oomph to get the same response, if that makes sense. One more thing about emotions and music. I mean, it's not even my idea. If you listen to music, let me ask you, do you learn anything? No. Do you achieve anything? Nah. So why do people listen to it? And the answer is, it is probably what I just said, emotional regulation or emotional manipulation. So Steve Pinker calls it auditory cheesecake. The idea is it nourishes the soul, but doesn't have calories. So you can do it all day. And the Greeks realized this already. Plato said, music is very dangerous. The state has to regulate very carefully because it's the path to the devil, basically, or God. They could go either way. And the more I'm studying, the more I think he's right. So good music comes from divinity, and bad music comes from the devil, basically, proverbially. It's a crazy thing to say for an NYU professor, but the more I'm studying it, there's something to it.
But I'm sure there's something to learn from lyrics, maybe the artist's message.
Yes, I will send you that Devil's playlist. You absolutely yes. There are certain lyrics that only resonate with a psychopath. But just to be clear for the camera, that does not mean, even though, let's be very clear about this, even though psychopaths prefer dubstep, doesn't mean if you prefer dubstep, you're a psychopath. That is not true. Those are two different condition probabilities. And that's, by the way, why I'm so angry about the fake news. I told them, if you're a psychopath, you might have a slight preference for these songs. What they report is the exact opposite. If you have a preference for these songs, then you're a psychopath. And they keep doing that, by the way. Someone else did a study. If you're a psychopath, you prefer your coffee black. What they report is, if you prefer your coffee black, you're a psychopath, which does not follow. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
It does make sense.
So I want to be very clear. Thank you.